the same message for everybody. And the role as the marketer has changed as well. It's not just focus on leads, build leads, drive leads, or just do events. Now you're kind of touching the customer all the way through their life cycle, right? Help people find your brand, help nurture them, help get them to your sales team. Now that they've bought something, are you done? Are you done trying to sell to people that bought something? Or do you try to upsell and cross-sell and make them increase their adoption, right? So the marketer role has kind of increased to touch the customer all throughout these life cycles, or their life cycle. And it can be hard to do this in a very effective way if you're all using your own tools. I mean, sure, maybe the sales team is working the best that they can be working, but they could probably be working better if sales and support and marketing were all on the same platform, all sharing the same information, all looking and working from the same place, okay? And, when you don't have them all in the same place, you can't run analytics as well. It's hard to see what's working, what's not working, because you're measuring different things in different places. You definitely can't get any artificial intelligence to look across all of the data and make sense of it for you. And it's really hard to get true account-based marketing, to market to that account based on what's going on with them in your business. Okay, that's what Salesforce wants to help you solve. That is kind of the point we're going to talk about today. All right, we'll bring you all into one platform so that you can do those things. We want to help you engage buyers, close deals, and grow relationships. And today we're only going to talk about Pardot, right? One product within the Salesforce portfolio, but Pardot really excels when you use it with Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, and so it's a part of the solution that helps you be really effective on the Salesforce platform. All right, so what is Pardot? The whole point of Pardot is to give the marketer tools to attract key prospects, create forms, create email templates, send the right content to the right people. And then we know who they are. We have stuff connected in the CRM so you can send meaningful information to them, meaningful outreach at the right time. Okay? And then it's not just you sent them an email, the email was open, and now your job is done. We really want to help you do that handoff between sales and marketing so the sales team reaches out at the right time, or the service team reaches out at the right time. Okay? And that's something called Engage. So there's Pardot, that's the marketer's set of tools. Then there's a feature set called Engage. These are the tools your sales reps would use. So when your sales rep looks at a customer record, they're going to see everything about that customer's engagement with Pardot. They can put that customer into different nurture programs. They can send pre-created, pre-approved marketing content. So they could send a Pardot email from Salesforce just by being a sales rep. What I really like about Engage is, look, marketing is going to come out with great content, beautiful email templates, the right messaging, great. But you're kind of guessing who you should send the email to a lot of the time. Title, location, what did they buy before? But your sales reps are on the phone talking to people. So if your sales rep talks to someone, they can get a really good feel for what messaging that person might need, what campaign they should be put in. So sales can aim and marketing can kind of deliver. Sales puts them in the campaign, marketing executes. All right? And when you look at one of these records, when your sales team gets a little ding saying, hey, Iman, Crystal just opened your email, give her a call. When they go look at her record, when they look at her account record or her contact record, they're going to be able to see what they've interacted with, what they've seen, their level of engagement. They're going to be able to have good insight into that history, so they're not just reaching out going, who is this? I hear you're interested in something. Right? They're having a specific conversation. Right? And, that same engagement history isn't just on leads and accounts and contacts. It's also on your campaigns. You can go look at a campaign and see how this campaign, the engagement level with this campaign over time. Okay? And get a good view of those, what was the open rate? How many people viewed this form? How many people submitted the form? So those kinds of metrics you're just going to be able to get right on those records, whether they're campaign records, account records. All right? And then there's this concept called Einstein. Einstein is our label for all things kind of intelligent. All right, so machine learning, artificial intelligence. Basically, when we apply super fancy algorithms to stuff, we slap the word Einstein in front of it. And so what Einstein can do is start watching your campaigns, start watching your prospects. And over time, it can start building out this series of expectations, this model that it's built. And so it can look at your campaign and go, wow, this campaign's getting way more engagement than normal. or less engagement than normal, right? This lead is a good lead, not a good lead. And so essentially, you can turn on a host of artificial intelligent features in Salesforce so that we can help you better identify strong leads and strong performing events or campaigns. And when it comes to scoring, there's actually a lot of different types of scoring. So let me just explain it real quickly, and then we'll move on. So you don't need Einstein to do scoring, okay? There's a bunch of different options. So regular old Salesforce, let's just say you have regular old Sales Cloud, no other features, you can do scoring. You can just create formula fields and check boxes and drop down boxes, and you can say a formula, for example, of, are they the decision maker? If the decision maker checkbox is checked, give them 5 points. So you could do very simple formula-based scores like that, if you like, okay? And that's just regular formula fields in Salesforce. With Pardot, Pardot's going to give you 3 options. Pardot is going to give you a score, a grade, and then there's the Einstein scores on top of that. So what's a score? A score is based on their level of engagement, their level of activity with you. And I'll show you how you set these. But did someone click an email? Did they open an email? Did they go to your form? Did they fill out the form? Did they download a white paper? What did they do? And based off of those things, you can assign points, okay? Kind of like that show, Whose Line Is It Anyways, where the points are just kind of arbitrary. You can do that here. So you can be like, you open an email, 10 points. You didn't open an email, minus 20 points. Okay, so come up with whatever point system you want, but when they click the email or open the email or whatever, that score goes up. Okay, that's their engagement. The grade has nothing to do with their engagement. It has to do with who they are, what kind of profile, what kind of fit are they. So if you're looking for people in the transportation industry who are the CTOs in California, right, you set up your profile for who looks good, and then Pardot will grade against it, okay? And so the thing here is the score is how interested are they in you, and the grade is how interested are you in them, all right? So the example I always give here is Tesla. So if I was in college, and I was a college kid, I would have the highest score possible for Tesla. I'm on their webpage. I'm making the car red. I'm really interested in a test drive. I'm jiggling all the cables, right? I'm checking out everything. Super interested. But then when they start asking me questions and they find out I'm in college, I don't have a job, I live at home with my parents, there's no income, my grade is very low, right? So it's kind of like a good dating app. You want both people to be interested in each other. So that's score, that's grade. And then Einstein, what Einstein does is it kind of blurs its eyes, and it kind of gives you a grade, a score, based on trends it's seen before, right? So if you've had VPs of sales be engaged and then buy, Einstein's going to notice that and let you know, hey, VP of sales, that title matches something that you have really good success with, higher score. Okay, and you can't control the Einstein scoring algorithm. It figures it out on its own, but the idea here is those are the different scores. You can create your own based on whatever fields you like. You don't need Pardot or Einstein. You can use Pardot for the score and the grade, and you can use Einstein if you want machine learning to score it for you. Woo, okay. And then now you've got Pardot. You got your forms, your email templates, you got your campaigns, you're scoring everybody. You can integrate Pardot with other apps. So check out this link to the App Exchange, but there are other third parties that plug into Pardot. So GoToWebinar, this is a GoToWebinar. I can integrate GoToWebinar to Pardot, and if you register or attend, I can shoot you into a campaign, and I could do other things with that. In this scenario, I don't have it set up that way, but we could do that. All right, so different apps can plug right into Pardot, and now you've got some interconnectivity. Now you've got all these emails that have gone out, all this engagement that's happened, pipeline that's been generated, deals that have been closed. We want to report on that. So there's a B2B, business to business, marketing analytics dashboard, set of dashboards, okay? So you're going to be able to see who's engaged, how much revenue did we generate, which content is being engaged with the most, and you'll see an example of this later. But everything, essentially, you can report on, all right? And the last little special ingredient is you. We need you. We need a marketer to actually set this up and actually change the process. The technology's fine on its own. It's good on its own, but we need a person in the department who's ready to kind of make the change and do things a little bit differently. And plus, I thought you'd like to see some of the names of the brands that you might interact with and didn't know you were interacting with them. And here's just one partner app that I threw out there. This is one that plugs right into Pardot. Zoom. We're all doing Zooms nowadays. Thought you should know that's one of the apps that plugs in. And it looks like, when people register or attend or based on Q&A data, you can do things in Pardot. There you go. All right. And there's something called lightning data. This is completely separate to Pardot, but works with it, alongside it. No matter where you get your data, no matter what you do with your data, it has a shelf life. It kind of goes bad. Is my title still going to be my title in 6 years from now? Am I still at Salesforce? Things just, data changes. And so there are these partners out there that can clean your data and enrich your data. So if you have a form on a website, you can just say, just give me your email address, just email. And you get the email address in, and then you can use Dun & Bradstreet or HG data and take that email address and turn it into first name, last name, title. Who do I report to? What's a phone number? How do I get a hold of this person? How many people work at the company? So you can get a lot of this data enriched right in your CRM and then kept clean regularly if you're interested in that. Those are third-party services, lightning data. You would go and subscribe to HG data or Dun & Bradstreet if you wanted. Okay? So if I had to kind of bring it all together, it's one platform for sales, service, and marketing, okay? It'll help you as a marketer be more productive. It'll help your team be more productive. You can get analytics and insight into all this stuff, and we sprinkle in a little artificial intelligence on top. And I'm going to get to the demo, but I do want to bring up a few issues that the pretty slides didn't address that I just think you'll want to know about. So first one, do your people just send emails from everywhere? Right? Like, are you sending emails from your personal email, from mass email in Salesforce, from Pardot, from this other system, from GoToWebinar? That's a lot of things you have to control. There's no single unsubscribe or manager preferences settings. The branding's off. You lose control. You lose insight. And you could overwhelm people by just hitting them too many times, right? Someone completely unrelated to you is emailing them all the time. And so what's nice about Pardot is that you have one place where you can control all the emails. You can still let your sales team send emails that are branded, but they can configure some text in the middle. Maybe you let them write the intro, and then the rest of the email is templatized, okay? And it has a Pardot preference center, okay? So people can unsubscribe and control their preferences. Also, right now is probably just not the right time to be like, hey, do you want to buy something? Who wants to buy something? You want to buy something? And your sales reps probably still have a quota, and they probably still need to call people. Who are they going to call? Are they just going to call people that don't want to be called and make them really upset? That's probably not great, right? What's nice here is that you as the marketer can use CRM data to send the customer good, nurturing emails, whether it's training, whether it's how to get more adoption, whether it's a new feature. You can send them content that isn't just salesy content. Okay? And you can A/B test the content, right? You can send out 20 emails first, see which one worked, and then send it to the other 100 people, send the winner to the 100 people. So what you can do as a marketer is send good content, keep nurturing people, and then when you see the customers engaged, clicking on the things that make them seem more relevant, then you let the salesperson know. Then the rep reaches out, and the customer's delighted, not annoyed. Okay? And, this kind of works when your sales team's overwhelmed too. I'm at home, I do webinars, I'm stressed out, I got a toddler, a pregnant wife, it's tiring, right? So how do you keep your sales team focused? I think the answer here is you send the marketers, send the right nurture journeys. We wait for the score to hit a certain threshold, and then when the right person hits a certain level of engagement, that's when we notify the rep. That's when we create the lead in the CRM. And then when the rep answers the phone, they know who they're talking to, data's already filled out, they see the history, and they go. And I think this is a great way to help your reps prioritize. If you've got 2 reps and 2,000 leads, prioritize your leads. Okay? And, maybe the marketing person, maybe the marketer is a little burned out as well. So I think this will make your life a little bit easier. Things that might have been manual in other systems, this will help you automate. Also, just integration between sales and service and marketing isn't going to require IT resources. And when you come up with a new promotion or you come up with a new idea or something, you can build it really quickly, and you don't need to kind of start from scratch and engage 50 people. You could be at home, create a landing page, create an email, and get that out to people, and then interact with your CRM. Okay? And that's actually what you're going to see here in a minute. That's what I'm going to do. And we didn't talk about it, but because Pardot is integrated to your CRM, you can actually use it for good customer retention marketing as well, right? Did they log a support ticket? Did they have a low CSAT score or a high CSAT score they gave you in a survey? You can use that to drive the right experience. You can even have people go on your website, talk to a chatbot, ask a few questions, and if they asked a question about a relevant topic, you can now send them information about that. So lots of ways to give people information about topics they're interested in, okay? And also if you're using e-commerce with Salesforce, if you do have B2B commerce set up, this is a really nice way to remind people, hey, it's time to reorder. Hey, it's been 3 months since that 3-month supply. So that's another thing that Pardot can help you with as well, especially if you're using communities and people can go create their own orders or reorder. This is an interesting approach. All right, so that's the slides. I know we spent a lot of time on slides, but now we're going to go through creating an email template in a web form, creating a dynamic engagement program, and then seeing what your reps and everyone would see. So I'm in Salesforce. Here's my Salesforce environment. And I'm in my Pardot app as the marketer, okay? And this is a nurture journey, and this is something we're going to build together. And you can see I have 155 people in it, and 42% of those people opened my first email. And the 42% that opened went down this path where because they opened it, I adjusted their score. They got a plus 60 on their score. If they didn't open the email, okay, well, their score dropped by 5 points. All right, so let's just start and build some of this stuff out. So I'm going to go to the content tab. And here's where you would build forms, landing pages, dynamic content, little snippets of dynamic content. But this is where you go to create things. So let's create a new form. And I'm going to call it Doing It Live, as is tradition, and I'll name it something like 520 so I know I made it now. And what campaign is this a part of? Pick a campaign that makes sense and go next. So now it's going to ask you, well, what fields do you want in your form? First name, last name, company, email. Do you want to add phone? Right? Your phone. Let's add a phone number here. I'm sure I'm missing it. There, the phone. There we go. Go. So add a phone number, right? Next. What does it look like? Now, as far as needing help from another person, this is probably the only part where you would need it, is where a template would have had to have been built. This template is an HTML template, so you have someone create one template that matches your company's branding, and you can use that over and over and over again. And here I'll call it, we'll put the button down for submit info. Okay, that's what the button's going to say. And then, all right, now what happens when people hit submit? If someone goes to that form and hits submit, what's going to happen? Are you going to give them a thank you image, a thank you message? And then what automation rules do you want to have kick in? Do you want to add the person to a campaign? Do you want to adjust their score up or down? Do you want to notify a user in Salesforce? What do you want to do? Do you want to send an auto response email? Hey, thanks for filling out the form. So the completion actions are how you would define what happens when this form gets filled out. I'm going to leave this alone for now. Hit next. And there's my form. And I can preview it. And there, I made a form. And this form would go live right now if I wanted to. This is all the HTML template that was pre-created. Notice my form has all the fields here. My button says submit info that I put in there in that wizard. And I can hit confirm and save. And I now have I really do have this live form. This is a live form. I could put that link anywhere. I could share that link in this webinar. You could all go there and really be leads in my CRM. This works right now, okay? So, all right, we got a form. Great, Iman, you built a form. Let me delete this form because it's who's going to use it later. So let's delete that form. So I got a form. But now let's get people to the form, right? So let's send an email, all right? And I've got a bunch of email templates already here. Let's create a new one. Just create a new one. I'm going to create a brand new email. Give it a name. Again, pick a campaign it's a part of. I'll just pick one. Oops. Just pick one here. Okay. Is it HTML or not? And do you want to do A/B testing? I would like to do A/B testing. So now you can pick from a template if you have one. I'll just pick one that I have. Okay. So here's my template. All right. And this is one that I've pre-built. Okay. And you could go into the HTML editor and get crazy and very specific with it. You could just click on the editor and just use rich text. So let's say in template A, I'm going to say something like, turn your advocates into trailblazers. And in option B, I'm going to say something instead like, love your trailblazers. I don't know. I'm not a marketer. But you get it, right? It's a slightly different version, and I could tweak this whole thing. I could have a completely different set of content, a different subject, everything, all right? You can preview it, and then ultimately it's time for testing. So when you go to test it, you can actually render this email in Outlook, in Gmail, on an iPhone, and see what it would look like before you send it out. Make sure it looks good on all the various devices, and then you want to send it out. And when you go to send it out, let me click this here. When you go to send it out, you'll be able to decide, when I send out the A template, who does it look like it's coming from versus the B template? Do I want to try sales team versus Salesforce, right? And then, all right, so when do you want to send it? How long do you want the test to go for? I want the test to go for 1 day, and we're going to see who the winner is based on which one had the most opens. And I want 30% of people to be the test audience. So the first 30%, we're going to A-B split. Whichever template wins, then the other 70% of the audience is going to get the template that wins, okay? So this is a great way for you to test things out, send them out, see how the engagement works, and then make sure the rest of your audience is getting the right emails. And you could send it right now if you wanted, and here's my A template, and here's my B template, okay? So that's how an email template with A/B testing works, and I'm going to show you an example of a rendering test that I did here a little while ago. So these are all the various desktop clients, web clients, Outlook, Gmail, AOL Mail. I don't know why I chuckled. But here's Gmail on Chrome. Here's what my email would look like if you opened it up in Gmail on Chrome. Okay? All right. So now you got your forms. You got your email templates. You could just send out one email at a time or just create a list of people and send everybody that email. You could do that. But I think what everyone really likes are these engagement programs. Okay, so let's create a new one. I'm going to call it Doing It Live. Okay. All right, so who's going to get this list? Who are the people that are going to be a part of this engagement program? And you can have your own lists. Nurture lists, competitive lists, people that are renewing in 90 days. You come up with whatever list you want to target. And then remember, when people fill out the form, you could automatically put them in that list. You could have sales reps put people into that list. So lots of ways to get people in the list. All right, so now let's say you're in the renewal list. Maybe I don't want to send this to my C-suite. This is not the C-suite email template, or maybe this isn't to people who also had a support issue in the last few days. So, you know, you want to be mindful. So you can send it to these people, but not if they're also in the other list, all right? And then when do you want to send emails? Anytime? All the time? Only Monday through Friday? Your call, all right? And go. So now I've got an engagement program. And it's awesome. It starts and it ends. It does nothing else, all right? So what do we do now? Well, now we're going to edit the engagement program. There's really a couple things that it's going to do. It can do something, an action. It can listen for something to have happen, okay, a trigger, okay? Or it can check something, a rule. So here's what it's going to look like. Let's do something first. And let's just send an email. Here, look at the list of all the things you can do. You can add people to a list, put them in a campaign, adjust their score, notify their rep, create a task in Salesforce. But, you know, let's send the email. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So you pick your template. There you go. There's my template. You want to send it now? You want to wait a few days? You want to wait until the 12th? You decide. Let's just send it now. All right, so I sent you an email, and that's it, right? So maybe we listen to see if you opened it, or if you clicked a link, or if you downloaded a file, right? What did you do? So I'm going to see if you opened the email. All right, I'm going to wait up to 2 days to see if you open the email. Okay? If you open the email after 2 days, what do we want to do? What do you want to do? I think one good thing would be to adjust the score and maybe give you, 30 points. Why not? Okay. What else though? Do we just have your rep call them? I don't know if a rep should just call everybody who opens your email, right? So you can put rules in place. And so you can check for field values. You can check to see, are they great? Are they an A grade fit for us? Or what's their score? So for example, anyone that scored more than 40. All right. So did you open everyone gets the email. Did you open the email or not? If you open the email, are you a highly engaged person in general? If you are, now is the time that I assign you as a lead in Salesforce, and it gets assigned to whoever it gets assigned to based on your rules. And then you know what? I'm going to create a task for that user to call them back, whoever it's assigned to, and then you can put more information in there if you want. And let me scroll down. 3 days from now, go. Right? So now you very quickly have created a simple engagement program. Send an email, wait for them to open it, adjust the score, check if they're the right type of person, or level of have they met a threshold, and if they have, get a rep to call them. Okay, and this is one example engagement program. What you're going to see here I'll show you another one. So let me go back to the engagement studio, and let me just go to my 3-day nurture program. Okay, and here you'll see my real nurture program. Let me zoom in on it. It's really big. Let me zoom way in. There we go. And so here, people start, they get added to a campaign. If they open the email, I adjust their score, and I send them another email. I wait to see if they click the link, and if they do, I adjust the score, and again, send them a different email. And then at the very end, I'll create a rep, I'll notify the rep to reach out. That is my engagement program. And you can see for me, 5 people made it to the end out of 155. So I probably need to tweak this, right? And so you can follow each step. And if I click on that number, you'd see who made it through and who didn't. So I could click on the 42% that did make it through, and I'd just see those people, all right? Now, I'm going to show you 2 more things, and then we're going to wrap up. As a rep, I could go into Salesforce now and see your engagement history. I can see that you opened an email, clicked the link, went to the form. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Look at that. Open the email, right? And when did I do it? I'm going to zoom to the right so you can see here. An hour ago, right before the webinar started, I basically did this, okay? So you can see all their information. And as a rep, I could send an engaged email. So I could take a Pardot email that the marketing team shared with me, and I could choose to send it to you. And notice it's got the little handlebar mustache or handlebar language in there. And I could choose my email templates. You can have a bunch of different email templates. They can choose the right one, hit send. Okay, and that customer's really going to get that email from Pardot. Okay, and the other one is you can let your reps add to a nurture list. So I just talked to Sam. I got off the phone, and you know what? I think he could use the increase adoption program. I hit save. He's now in that list, and that engagement program is going to fire off. Okay. Now, that's all that stuff you're going to get to play with. I want to show you something that unfortunately I don't have in that demo environment, and that's behavior score and lead score. So the lead score, this will tell you how good of a lead is this lead based on what we know about them, based on the information they filled out. Okay. And it'll recommend reaching out to them if now seems like a good time. The behavior score is unique to Pardot. And what this does is it looks at their engagement with your content, forms, landing pages, emails. Did they register for an event? And then it compares them to cohorts and lets you know this person's probably more engaged than the other people. So you can score them yourself, you can grade them yourself, or you can have Einstein give you this kind of version of it. And if you had a campaign where you sent a lot of people messages from that campaign or about that campaign, you could go to the campaign and just see right there open rate, how many emails were sent, how many forms were filled out. So you get a nice little snapshot of each of your campaigns as well, and what landing pages were used, what links were used, what forms were used. They could all be kind of right there linked together. All right? And the absolute last thing I want to share with you is analytics. So there is a B2B analytics app, okay, B2B MA. And in it, you've got a few different pre-built dashboards, right? So show me the revenue by campaign. Show me which landing pages are actually being completed versus those that aren't. What forms are having the most unique submissions, right? And here I'll just show you a couple of other ones. Here's an engagement dashboard. And you can't read all the numbers here anyways, but the idea is overall, which emails are working, which templates are working, which forms are working, right? And let's go one more dashboard, pipeline. How much pipeline are you generating? How many visitors to your website did you get to fill out a form? Of the people that filled out the form, how many did you qualify into the CRM? Of those that you qualified as leads, how many did your sales team follow up with and qualify? And out of those, how many people bought something? All right, so you can follow your funnel and drill down. And I think the last one here is an account-based view. And here's an account-based view of what's going on. So now, instead of just looking at forms and content and campaigns, you're looking at specific accounts. And you can pick an account and see their level of engagement, their deals, who's involved, what you're generating at the account level. All right, so that's kind of my Pardot demo at a high level. Oh, you know what? I do want to share one more thing. One more thing. Forgive me, I know we've gone a few minutes over. Engage alerts. If you're a rep and you want to know right now that you should call this person back, okay? Beating the competition, being the first one to respond is actually a great way to win business. Yeah, I didn't go with the best company that makes fences. I went with the one that called me back first. We started the conversation and they won my business. So take a look right here. You can see that an hour and 57 minutes ago, I opened an email. I pretended to be Sam. Okay, so Sam opened an email. I've got the email up right here. Okay, now watch. I'm going to click a link. Sam clicked the link, and the form is loading. Now look, I'm going to go back real quick and watch what happens. Look, this is going to refresh. Look, seconds ago, right? Link clicked seconds ago. Sorry, I didn't switch back fast enough for you to see it, but now you'll see I clicked the link a few seconds ago. 3 minutes ago, I'd reopened that email. And now that rep could get a notification going, hey, reach out. And if I fill out the form, Iman just filled out the form. Reach out. Okay. That was a lot of stuff. I know it was a lot of stuff. There's a lot of places for you to go afterwards. So the 2 links at the top, I think, are the most useful. There is a link for Pardot Customer Hub. Go there, and basically everything's there. Training is there, links to their webinars are there, links to pricing stuff is there. It is a really good hub. I think that hub is a helpful hub, so go there. If you have a specific Pardot question, you're a Pardot expert. You've been using Pardot for a while. Go to the Pardot office hours. They have, I think it's pretty much every day or at least 2 or 3 times a week, they have an office hour for Pardot. So you just go there and you've got an expert just talking about Pardot. If you don't want to go to a live event, you just have a quick question, post into their Trailblazer community. They have their own group, ask a question there, and literally there are Pardot people waiting to answer those questions. Really, their dashboards on how long they let those questions go. So they're waiting to answer. There's going to be a lot of questions on, Iman, what features included with this edition? How much is that edition? Who needs a license of this? Who needs a license of that? There's 400 of you, 2 of us, and I don't want to get wrapped down in licensing conversations. It's going to be different for all of you. So I put a link to the Pardot pricing page. It's got the differentiation of what features are in which editions. And then frankly, after that, just please reach out to your Salesforce rep. I don't want to get into a pricing thing here. I want this to be more technical, solution-oriented, if that's okay. I put a link to the App Exchange apps that are more Pardot specific right there. Check those out. And then at the bottom, those are all trails in Trailhead. So mini lessons, mini tutorials that are free that help you learn these things. So if you want to learn how lead scoring works, you should take that lead scoring one. If you want to build an actual nurture campaign, there are trails for that. So I highly recommend if you want to learn how it works, go to Trailhead. For everything else, use the other links I gave you. And if you don't know what you own, if you don't know what edition you have, if you're just not sure what you're paying, not paying, the Salesforce web store is a good resource for you. So feel free to go to store.salesforce.com and you'll see your invoice, what licenses you have, what edition you're on. And if you need to talk to support, you can log a case there. Or if you want to reach out to your account executive, there's contact information there as well. And the demo environment that I showed you is called Everybody's Demo Org. You can sign up for it in the sidebar link. Maybe it's on this side. I don't know what side it's on. On the side where there's resources, there's a link to Everybody's Demo Org. If you click that, you can go to my demo environment. Here, you are not a marketer. You are not allowed to create engagement programs and email templates, but you can be the rep and the customer kind of on the receiving end of all of that. So you can log into the EDO, create yourself as a lead, or create your spouse or a coworker as a lead or a contact, put them in a nurture campaign. They'll get the email, and you can watch the engage alert happen if you want. And you can see what they click and see the engagement history. And you can view the engagement programs and email templates I've created. You simply can't create your own. Okay? But engage alerts work. Putting people in nurture campaigns works. You can send one-off Pardot emails. That's all truly Pardot. All right. And if you need a hand setting any of this stuff up, there's no shame in it. Wiser Spread is offering all of you 2 hours of help, free consulting, just for saying, Iman, sent me. So let them know Iman sent you. Get 2 hours of help on anything, whether it's Pardot, Service Cloud, whatever. They want to help. And if you like this webinar, good. You got good taste. Coming up on Thursday, it's an office hour. It's me answering an hour of your questions. And then we haven't put it out there yet, but all next month I'm going to have a bunch of events too. And I'm thinking I'm going to be doing things like Salesforce maps, Heroku, sandboxes, validation rules. So I think I got some fun ones for you. Chatbots, digital engagement. So if you like this style webinar, go to my website, please. And every Tuesday, every Thursday, you can join me and Crystal on something. Whew, all right. So Crystal, I'm going to stop, take my first deep breath of the day. I don't know, any questions?
Yeah. We got some good ones here. Okay, first up is Brittany. She's asking, is this for those who don't already use a Salesforce program?
I'm not trying to follow. Ask it one more time.
She says, is Pardot for those who don't already use a Salesforce program? Perhaps, Sales Cloud or...
Okay. No, it's not necessarily for those that don't already use Salesforce. Most Pardot customers are Salesforce customers. You don't have to use Salesforce. You can use both together, or just one, or just the other. Most people use both. If you're selling to people and you're using Sales Cloud, you usually want to tie that in with marketing. And if you're marketing to people and don't have a tool or have a tool or whatever, you usually want that integrated with what your sales team's doing. So most people use both. Pardot is not specifically for people that are not using Salesforce. That was too many negatives. Pardot, we expect you to use both.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Michelle's asking, for Pardot email, how do you know if a person actually opened the email or their security system auto-opened it?
I don't. Okay, so how can you tell if an email was opened in the engagement history there, right? So when we go to their feed and you see, let me go open one up here. When you go to their record and you see on their record, hey, he viewed a form, he opened the form. I don't believe there's any way we're going to know the difference between if a security system opened it. The way these work is there's an invisible pixel, one pixel that's clear, transparent, you don't even see it. And when that pixel loads on someone's screen, we track that pixel was viewed. We can see that. So as long as something is viewing that image, we'll think that email is being viewed. So it's not perfect. I imagine if someone has some automated thing that's opening emails, viewing the email, the image renders, you might get some false positives. I haven't seen a lot of that, personally.
Okay. This one's from Lisa. Are the apps integrated by Pardot or by the app makers? That is, who is actually responsible for making them work with Pardot? I think this was along the lines of your integration discussion in the slide.
Yeah, it's a combination. I'd say it's a combination. In Pardot, let me see if I can pop this open for you real fast. I think I have it ready, and if I do, I'll share my screen. But in Pardot, there are built into Pardot specific integrations, connections. And that's just part of the Pardot product suite. So I would believe that those connections that are built into the app itself are Salesforce owned, Salesforce managed. That being said, there's a whole bunch of things on the App Exchange that are third-party plugins to Salesforce in general. And those plugins are not necessarily Salesforce owned, maintained, operated. Those are probably just third-party connectors. And they are building their integration to Salesforce, which then gets to Pardot. And I think here, if I give my page a second, I think I should be able to load the list of pre-built connectors, and I'll show that to you.
We're not seeing your screen.
I know.
We're just not seeing your screen.
I'm waiting.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm waiting for it to load. When it loads, if I have it ready in this demo environment, I'll show it to you. While I'm waiting for this page to load, is there another question?
Yeah. This one's from Casey. If you were to set up a biannual Net Promoter Score survey for customers and want Pardot to provide a score based on how the customer responded to the survey, is this possible, and would you recommend any best practices for doing this well?
So there's a couple ways to think about the score. And that page did load, so I'll show you the page in a second. So how do you think about the score? You could do it in a lot of ways. if you're tracking the Net Promoter Score, and let's just not even worry about Net Promoter, let's just say survey results. It's a survey. Now, how you score your survey doesn't really matter. Some people don't use NPS, they use something else. So you got a survey. You send out the survey, those responses get stored somewhere. So you could track that response in Salesforce, see it as a number 4 or number 9 or whatever, however you store that result, and then you can use that in Pardot. So you can actually say, hey Pardot, anyone who had a survey where the score was a 9, put them in this list, send them this email, and change something, do something. One way is to just look at the output of the survey, because it's a record. And just like you can look at opportunities and cases and orders and invoices, you could look at surveys, okay? The other option is maybe you don't know what they filled out on the survey. Maybe the survey NPS score doesn't get written back in Salesforce. Well, if you send the survey through Pardot, then Pardot can score based on just the engagement with the email. Did they open the email? Did they not? Did they click the link? Did they not? Did they go to the form? Did they go to that page? So you could track their level of engagement through the survey process. Both of those would give you the dials to adjust their score up or down. All right, now before we move on to the next question, here is the set of connectors I have in my demo environment. And if I were to add connectors, here are the ones that are just pre-built right inside of Pardot. So let me zoom in so you can read this. I know the font is a little weird. WebEx, GoToWebinar, Bitly, Google Ads, Eventbrite, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Those are probably the ones I would see most of you using if you were going to use these standard ones. Other than these standard ones, the plugins are going to come from the App Exchange, in which case I believe third-party owned, operated, managed. All right, next question.
Nice. Okay. This one's from Jay. When you do an A/B test, does your split get re-emailed when you expand?
I'm not sure I understand what Jim is asking. So let's say you have a list. When you create the A/B test, it'll ask you, who are you sending it to? And you'll go, I'm sending it to this list. You give it a list. All right, so it says, in this list you got 10,000 people in here. And so do you want, how many people do you want to A/B test on? And you'll say, 10%, 20%. You pick a number, right? So all right, so the first 1,000 people are going to get split between the A and the B. And Pardot will watch all of it. And then once a winner is selected automatically, the rest of the people get the winning template. I hope that addressed your question. Feel free to let us know a little bit more detail on what you were hoping to ask there. I hope I addressed it.
Okay, great. Okay, this one's from Corey. Every time I send an email to an Outlook user, the formatting is kind of messed up. Is this an issue that you've seen with other, for all Pardot users, or not?
Okay. No, there's nothing I've seen about Pardot that says, hey, mess up the email in Outlook. That's not like a feature problem that I've heard of. That being said, yeah, emails opened on Outlook on the desktop, on a Mac, in the browser, on your iPhone, on an Android, little itty bitty screen, iPad, desktop, huge desktop. All of these are basically web pages being rendered, right? And they all render slightly differently, hence that testing feature. So if I were to go back to Pardot here and go back to the testing option, yeah, they do look different. Things do render differently. And it's not different because there's a bug, for example. It's just different because these tools all have slightly different ways of rendering HTML. And that's why this test feature exists. You may, if I had to guess what's going on, I'm guessing, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. You probably have a custom HTML template. That HTML template, something in it, a style sheet, some element on that page is not rendering right in Outlook. So I would test and see what element is not rendering right. And when you have examples, that should at least help you debug what's going on. Short answer, no, I'm not worried. I'm not aware of this being a Pardot specific problem. Yes, I deal with this problem all the time too. It's just kind of the nature of sending emails to everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Allegra's asking, can you set it up so it won't send on holidays, regardless of the cadence that you scheduled?
I'm not aware of a way to block holidays. I'm thinking. No, there's nothing about a holiday or a business hours where outside of that window, like if you say send emails Monday through Friday, 9 to 6 or something like that, it'll stay in that window in your time zone. But yesterday was Memorial Day. It still would have sent the email on Memorial Day. Unless you stop it or pause it, I believe it would still go out. I don't believe there's a don't do it on a holiday. I'm like 85% sure on that.
Okay. All right. Patricia's asking, it seems that if you plan to send a Pardot email from Salesforce using the send Pardot email, you cannot change the from email, like a secretary or an admin sending an email for somebody else.
Yeah. No, that's not necessarily true. So when you create an email template, let's just create a new one together. I'm going to create one, and guess what I'm going to call it? Doing it live. Okay, doing it live, and I'll just give this another name here. There. So we're going to send our emails, and it's not a list email. It's not an auto-responding email. Maybe it's a one-to-one email. And I'll put it in this campaign and go. All right. You can pick your general template that you want to use or load an HTML one. No one here cares what my email looks like, so I'm just going to hit go. So now you've got your email. You make it look good. When you go to sending, you can decide how it's being sent out. So you can choose if it goes as a specific user all the time, as whoever the person is sending the email. You can set a specific or a general sales at address. So you can change it at the template level. But I think you might be right in the sense of, let's say I do have an email, or I do have a person, can I change what email I send them, or the from address? That you might be right. Let me see. You can have different addresses, but I'm not sure if the user has the option to switch. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. So that's the answer. So the answer is your end user can't toggle while they're sending the email, but you as the marketer can determine based on the template. So you could have 3 different variations if that were important to you, and it could come from me versus sales, or versus webinars at, something like that. So it is configurable, just not by the end user.
All right. Jerry's asking, so he says this looks like a very powerful tool, and perhaps maybe more than I need. Is there a Pardot Lite version, or is there other solutions or things you can do within the platform to meet some of the need?
Yeah, so Pardot itself has, small, medium, large, right? Like basic, advanced, it's got tiers, so you can get different tiers. But you don't need Pardot, right? Like you can just send emails out of Salesforce. You can just send emails if that's what you want. And you can have beautiful templates in here as well. You can send mass or list emails out of Salesforce, but the volume is limited and there's no like unsubscribe, resubscribe. There's no lists. There's no, I can tell you opened it, so therefore I'll do something else. So if you just want to send emails, you can just send emails. If you want to send emails automatically when a case is opened, when a deal is closed, when a renewal is coming up, you can do that with regular old automation rules in Salesforce. However, if you want to be able to tell, did they open it or not? Did they click a link or not? And then based on that, do something else, that's where the Pardot engine kicks in. There is another product, and I'm going to show this to you. There's another product that has a little bit of overlap. That's called high velocity sales. High velocity sales is a little bit more aimed at an inside sales team. And what the sales team would do is get a list of leads, for example, and they would have them in a cadence. Let me put cadence. So they would have them in a some kind of game plan that they need to execute. That's what we call a cadence. And so then when your reps log in, your reps would go to this queue in high velocity sales. And they would just see, I need to call Andrew. They'd click, The phone would, I'm going to hang up because it's really good. They would click, the phone rings, a script pops up, and then based on how this call ended, if they connected or left a voicemail or whatever, a different path would open up and a different email or a different thing would happen in the next step. So there is a lighter version of something like Pardot called high velocity sales. And this is it is a simpler version of being able to send emails, schedule calls, interact with your reps. It's a little bit more inside sales oriented, a little less marketing oriented, but that is another option. This is also an add-on product. So short answer, automation rules work. Email templates and mass emails are there, albeit limited. High velocity sales, probably a light version of Pardot, if you want to call it that. Pardot itself has small, medium, large. And you don't have to use Pardot if you don't want. There are many other marketing automation tools out there. You're welcome to use one that you like and integrate it to Salesforce. We ultimately just want you to be successful and happy. We think we have a tool that'll work for you, but if it doesn't, use whichever one you like.
All right. Awesome. Delano's has a question here. I have Pardot. Actually, we've got a couple licensing, just high level questions. But so asking, I have Pardot already. I think the analytics product is sold separately. Is that correct?
It is unless you have the right tier of Pardot. So so depending on your tier of Pardot, it's either an add-on or you need to upgrade to the next tier.
Great, and I shared the link with them,
Perfect.
So that's great.
And Frank,
Shauna's asking,
every one of these questions of I care about this feature, not that feature, I'm going to just ask that you please go look at the table. There's just a table with all of them right there. But what's the next one?
Nice. Okay, yeah, okay. Well, this is from Ashana, and she's asking, how do I enable the Einstein lead scoring that you mentioned in addition to the Pardot score? And does this feature come as part of Pardot, or is it a separate feature?
Cool. It comes with Pardot, with the higher edition of Pardot. Einstein lead score is also a separate Einstein-y, sold separate feature as well. So you can get the lead score in several ways. If you do have, I think I have it here. If you do have Pardot in your environment, setting up Pardot, let me show you here. Pardot. And then here we go. Leads Einstein, right? Einstein Pardot. Do you want to turn on lead scoring? Do you want to turn on campaign insights? And do you want to turn on behavioral insights? Right. So it's pretty much a checkbox, and then you drag and drop the widgets you want onto the page. So for example, for the lead record, let's go to Ron here. So let's say you turn it on, and you want to see it on the page. It's a component. You drag and drop it on. You can't configure this. There's nothing for you to really set up. You add it to the page. So Einstein scoring, drag and drop it wherever you want it, and kind of looks good over there. Hit save, and you're good. So that's how Einstein scoring would work. What you need for Einstein scoring to work is, let's say, about 3,000 leads over the last 6 months. You need enough leads for enough of a period of time for the system to be able to look at it and just start building models, right? If you've only ever had 2 leads in Salesforce, it's not going to build any predictions. It can't build any patterns off of that. And also, if we just started using leads and we don't know what we're doing with them, I wouldn't recommend using Einstein scoring yet because you're not using it consistently. You haven't started settling down on how you're using it. Once you're using it where all the fields kind of stay the same, your process is kind of the same, flip the switch, put it on the page, and you'll just start getting insights.
Okay. Yusha is asking, do we have any provision to collect how many responses or how many people opened our intro email from a huge list of recipients?
So can you, is the question, can you? I'm sorry, I misunderstand the question.
Yeah,
list.
Do we have any provision? Yeah, can we?
Yeah. So you could run a report on just the engagement of that one email, or you could go to the B2B marketing analytics dashboard that I showed you there and just view the analytics behind the level of engagement of any of your different pieces of content. Or if you had an engagement program and it's not just a single email, you can go to that very step in the engagement program and get the list of everyone who made it that far. So Yeah, you should be able to do it from a user perspective, right? Did Crystal open the email and go look at Crystal's record? You can go to that actual email list and then run a report on that as well. So, yeah, high level, yes.
Nice. Okay. Clark is asking kind of a follow-up to the survey, your survey example earlier. Can you score a contact based on survey responses if the survey is sent through Pardot? We are get feedback and integrating responses into Salesforce.
So, Crystal, you broke up there quite a bit.
Oh, sorry. Let me try it again.
Sorry.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So asking, okay, as a follow-up to the survey example, can you score a contact based on survey responses if the survey is sent through Pardot? They're using get feedback and integrating responses into Salesforce.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, I feel like I've answered that question, and the fact that we're getting it again, I feel like I'm missing the finer resolution of what you're trying to get at. If you're using get feedback, that should be able to work. Get feedback scores and puts values back in Salesforce. And so you can connect those fields and records from get feedback to your contact or your lead, and then that to Pardot. And now Pardot can see that this contact had a survey, and here's the score. And it can do something based off of that. It can do an automation rule based off of that. Whether it's put them into a list or put them into a nurture, whether or not you send the people to get feedback, whether or not you send that link in Pardot or not, kind of doesn't matter. If you do it through Pardot, you have more control. Did they open the email with the survey? Did they click the link with the survey? You can do things, those completion actions. You can automate things like scores and tasks. If they open the email, click the link, open the page, that kind of thing. But ultimately, if you just care about the result, that result is a field, is a record in Salesforce tied to the contact. You can use that relationship into Pardot. So now Pardot goes, find me the contact, find me the survey result, and do something if it's above a number or below a number.
Okay.
The feature everyone's looking for here are custom fields and custom objects. So even if you're not thinking about a custom object in the traditional sense, any object in Salesforce, surveys, invoices, orders, projects, certifications, classes, tests, services, any of those things, if those are records related to your contact or your lead, you can tell Pardot, go fetch those records, and now that's something Pardot can make use of when it comes to rules or automations. So custom objects and fields is what I would think about applying to your survey object, for example.
Great, nice. Okay, a couple questions here from Julia. What's the best way to download a Pardot email for use outside of Pardot? For example, an Adobe PDF?
Download the email for use outside. Not really sure what you want to do with it. If I were you, I would just go to the email template. You got two options. Send the email to yourself, and then you now have the full email. You could save it as a PDF. I don't know what you're trying to do. Save it as a PDF. That would work. You could take a screenshot of it. Don't think that's a great idea, but that would work. You could just take the HTML, right? You have an email. You can look at the HTML version of it. You can copy the HTML and put that somewhere else. So you can copy the original source. You can even open up the HTML from your Gmail and look at what was rendered to you. You could do that. You could save it as a PDF, I guess, that way. If I were you, I'd probably just go straight to the source HTML, copy that, and put that somewhere. That's probably your best bet.
All right. She's also asking, what is the easiest way to resend a webinar invite to the original segmentation list while filtering out those who have RSVP'd via Zoom? So suppressing the folks that have already RSVP'd.
So the people that RSVP, you put in a list, the RSVP'd list. Then you can send an email to a list of people, like the people that registered. I forgot who you want to send. Send it to all of them and suppress the people that already registered. So the suppression list is how you make sure those people don't get the email again. So put people into a list, use that list as a suppression list. Those people are not going to get the email, even if they're in the list of people that you want to email. Right? So everyone that came to email Iman's webinar, I'm going to send an email to because I want you to come back on Thursday. But in the suppression list, I'm going to put everyone who already registered for Thursday. So now everyone on this webinar is going to get the email except for those people who already registered. That's pretty much what you want to do. So use your completion rules, or just now you have a list, put them all into a suppression list and use that. That's what I would do.
Okay. So she's saying, I'm unable to integrate the Zoom form handlers connector with Pardot. I don't really know why, which is kind of why she was asking the question to better track RSVPs and attendees. So that was kind of a little more info on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure I can address that in more detail to everybody here. If for that, I would go to the Pardot office hours and ask about form handlers.
Okay. All right. She's also asking here just a quick details here. Email Studio and Marketing Cloud versus using Pardot growth.
Okay. I need to put a slide about this in the webinar. So Salesforce has a lot of emailing kind of solutions. Pardot is an acquisition. Exact Target was an acquisition, and they've both kind of become Marketing Cloud. And when you look at Marketing Cloud, there's a lot of stuff that sends emails, right? There's Email Studio, and then there's Pardot. Really, they're kind of meant for two different use cases. There's a lot of overlap because sending an email is very similar, right? But the use cases are Pardot is really more of a B2B solution. You want to nurture leads at accounts, contacts at accounts, so that when they are ready to buy, they talk to the salesperson, you get the salesperson engaged, they buy some stuff. That's the Pardot flow, okay? Obviously, nurturing and adoption and just being a good person for the company, it's not all just sales, but, get your customer at an account to talk to your team at your company, that's Pardot. Marketing Cloud, or the old Exact Target product rebranded as Marketing Cloud, that's more B2C. High volumes of people who I need to get to buy something without talking to someone. I don't need someone, for example, think of the shoe company Adidas. I always called it Adidas, but I guess that's not the right way to say it. So think about Adidas. Think about them. They don't email you and then have you get on the phone with Crystal before you buy shoes, right? They don't need to tell Crystal that you looked at the email. Doesn't matter. There's 50 million of you. Y'all need the email, and you're going to get different emails and beautiful emails and all that. So if you're B2B, and the trick is, not the trick, but the point is to get that person, that audience member, to connect with your employee, Pardot. If it's just to send beautiful emails to people to keep engaged with your brand, and the end goal is not a personal connection, Exact Target or Marketing Cloud. And is there a lot of overlap? Yeah, they both let you send different emails to different people based on different stuff. But the toolkit around what happens afterwards, that's where it's different. So it's easy to be, I don't want to say confused, it's easy to be confused because they're very similar. But if you're selling to a business and they talk to a salesperson, that's Pardot.
Makes sense.
Okay. You were silent for a while.
Quick one here from Peter.
Worried. Okay.
Oh, you got worried.
Well,
Sorry, my connection seems to be having trouble today. All right, this one's from Peter. He says, you mentioned B2B marketing and tracking, and we run 360 marketing campaigns combining traditional and online touch points in our mix. He says, how do you tie in Google Analytics into Salesforce for optimizing what's working in the campaign and what's not, and generating reports for our clients?
I don't have a good answer with Google Analytics. I simply have not done a lot with Google Analytics. I'm not aware of anything inside of Pardot that takes in Google Analytics. So I'm going to give you this at like an 80% confidence level. Pardot is going to give you its own set of reports and analytics and Einstein-y stuff based on the engagement it sees and based on what it thinks is working, not working, right? You're also going to get Google Analytics. Where are people coming from? What was the referral source? Now, a lot of that stuff actually, you can feed into Pardot. Pardot could see what link they clicked on before they got to your page. You could pass in hidden information to Pardot. So you could give a lot of that to Pardot. But for the most part, how many people are on my page right now? what country did they come from, what IP address, all that stuff, you're probably just going to have a separate set of reports. I'm not aware of a great way to sync up Google Analytics and Pardot. Now, Google AdWords does feed directly into Pardot, but Google Analytics, I don't believe it does. Forgive me, I'm just not an expert in that part of the product. I would ask you to post on the Pardot community or go to one of their office hours for like the 100% official answer. I'm at like 80%.
Okay, all right. This one's from Carlos. How do you stop an ongoing campaign?
You can just stop it. So let's see. Let me get in my demo environment. So I go to my automations and I pick one, and this one's running, or here's my doing it live one. And when you're going to a running one, you could just pause it. You just stop it. And then you could always just delete it as well if that were important. But you can just pause it. No problem.
Okay. All right, and this is the last question.
Okay.
This is from Julia. She's asking, how can you utilize another company's landing page by inspecting the code on their landing page to create in Pardot one that's just like it, that mirrors it?
Yeah. So Pardot, let's see here. Let me see if I can find it for you here. I haven't done this off the top of my head in a little while. Landing pages. So there is... I don't know if you guys can hear my daughter screaming in the background. Forgive me. Where was it? There was... I can't find it right now. Forgive me. I haven't done it in a while. Somewhere there was a area where you can pick a URL and it'll import it. And that's kind of what I did with my form in the beginning. I just picked a URL that already had a form and I sucked it in. I don't know why I'm not finding it. Either way, though, you can just go to a web page and just see HTML and just view it in HTML and grab the snippets. So it's going to take knowledge of HTML. I don't really think the view a page, snap it, and put it in there is going to work perfectly for everybody all the time anyway. So I would probably advise you, if you can, do the HTML right. Do it right. Get someone that knows HTML to look at it, tweak it, whether they copy it from someplace or however they get it in there. And because that's what's going to make it look good when it's big, small, tablet, portrait, landscape. There is a feature that will go to the URL, scrape the HTML, and start it for you. Forgive me, I'm not finding it off the top of my head. But I have done it. I'm going to keep looking while I get the next question.
There is no more next question. That's it. You did it. That was it.
Let me just see if there's anything. Import layout. Found it. Knew it was me. It's driving me crazy. Okay, so here, import layout. There you go. So you can import it from a URL. And I think that's what I did. I went to a Pardot form about Pardot that our Pardot team built, and I URL'd it. So there it is. Whew, okay, I knew it was me. All right. Look, thank you all for coming. I hope this was a good use of your time. I hope you learned a little bit about what Pardot is and how it might be helpful. Feel free to sign up for the EDO, Everybody's Demo org, and put yourself in a nurture campaign. I promise, by the way, that just by filling all that stuff out, I'm not going to market to you by crazy. I really want you to just get in there and play with it. And the only Pardot emails you're going to get from there are the ones you send yourself. So it's fine, I promise. Thank you all for coming. I hope this was a good use of your time. Please fill out a survey. When I stop this stream in 10 seconds, you're going to get a survey pop up. So please stick around for that and just let me know what you think. Otherwise, have a good one, and I'll catch you all Thursday. 10 seconds, you're going to get a survey pop up. So please stick around for that and just let me know what you think. Otherwise, have a good one, and I'll catch you all Thursday.